Welcome to War Nouns YouTube. I'm Locke on my own, and today I'm doing a hobby video. Hello there, and today I'm going to make a cobblestone base that has a glow to it. So I'm going to take the base you see right here, and I am going to put some green stuff on it, and I'm going to make it look like the test base that I have sitting right up over here, except without the corkboard. This says corkboard, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just take this pattern, and I'm going to put it onto this base. So let's get started. What you need to get started is some green stuff. So I have some green stuff right here, and I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to wet it down a little bit and get a little chunk of green stuff, or of the two colors, so that I can mix them together to make the green stuff, because I mean that's how you make green stuff. And throughout this video, you're going to see me use a lot of water to moisten my fingertips and my tools. That's because I find it the easiest way to control the green stuff, because sometimes it gets sticky and it becomes very difficult to work with. So I like to wet it down because it becomes more malleable and easier to use. And now we're just trying to fill the spaces. So this space has an indentation, and I'm trying to fill the green stuff into the indentations. Now there are other bases out there that don't, and then I would have just pulled the green stuff to the edge, kind of like I did with the one on the corkboard. Now this is just a thing that I like to do. I like to use the palm of my hand and some water to smooth out the base and try to get rid of my fingerprints, because I like a nice smooth canvas to get started with. And then it's time to get out the sculpting tools, which I have to find. There we go. So let's get started. Now, with this particular base, I am going to go for a lot of straight lines, sort of a more organized looking street almost. I have on other bases done more round and put the cobblestone sort of in a circle all around. But with this one, I just wanted a lot of long straight lines. So I decided to go more orderly, and here I'm just trying to decide whether I want to do it there, and I just chose with there for the long straight lines of it all. Now I'm trying to sculpt the stone, so I have a lot of large gaps between them for when I go to put in the glow or paint the glow in. If I wasn't going to be painting the crevices, I might not do such large gaps. But since I want the space in between for the paint to show through and sort of look deeper, I'm gonna make the large gaps. Now I'm gonna round off the edges of the stone, because I like the square stones, I like the round edges more. Almost give it sort of, worn and weathered kind of look. Green stuff can be tricky to work with. So one problem I've had, and I've done this design a number of times now, because it's the base theme for the army that I'm working on. But one of the things that can be tricky with this is getting the green stuff in the gaps to lay flat. And I'm working here to try to smooth it out, because I have had where it has built up and looks sort of, it gets weird divots and the paint doesn't sit well in there sometimes. So now I'm going to use this stone here out of a potted plant for some texture. So that way it has a stony texture, and when I go to paint the top of the stones, it's got a lot of pits and valleys and rises for the paint to go into and onto to give it, you know, some textured looks. Besides, it looks so much better like that. So now I'm squishing down all my hard work that I just did, making all those gaps, and I have to remake them. You could probably texture as soon as you make it instead of, but I wanted to round the edges first. Gotta watch that green stuff and where it's building up, and make sure it's not gonna give me weird peaks and valleys inside the gaps, or weird holes. Weird holes. Ugh. And we're gonna have to do a little jump cut here in a second, or here in a little bit, because I have to wait for the green stuff on this to dry before I can do any sort of base color with it. So I'm going to have to finish my sculpting here and then come right back to you guys after I've given it a day or so to dry. I'm just gonna put my tools away so I don't lose them. And I think it's looking really good. I really do. I'm excited I really like this one. I like the straight stones, and you know, I mean, this one's good too. That's just the test base, but I like the way that this one is turning out so far. I really do. So here we're back, and I took the whole thing out. I sprayed it black, and then off screen I took my Eshin gray right here, and I put a layer of Eshin gray on there. And now we're going to start with, to sort of put the glow in between the stones. Now this is a moot green that my children ate the label off of. They like to sometimes chew on my paints for some reason. You always make sure you got to shake your paints well before you use them. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take I'm going to take a brush that I'm not using right now. I'm going to take some of the paint out, and I'm going to put it into my palette over here. So that way I could pull it from the palette and add water as needed, and all that other good stuff. Gotta make sure you gotta clean out your brushes. Now this would be a good time to point out that I am the hobbyist. This is my hobby. I'm not necessarily a professional. Oh, so I have a Flash Grits Yellow, and these are the two colors I'm going to be using like to make it look like that. And that's when I did earlier. I did both of those two earlier. So I'm going to try to make that and that look the same. So I'm going to put the yellow and I'm going to put the green both into that. I'm going to put them up on the sides, and then that way I can mix them in the middle and have the middle color mixed, but I can still pull from the green or the yellow if I need to, without having to get more out of the pot. Now, again, as I say, I'm a hobbyist. This is my hobby. I am not like a professional or anything. So if you don't like how I'm doing something, I'm always up for suggestions. But this is just, you know, my preference. I'm not like a professional or anything. So now comes the gloriousness of those nice straight lines. You just put the paint in and go. Oh, I don't have to going around any curves or do anything weird. It's gonna be glorious. Make it look all... See, it's already starting to look a little glowy. A little green glowy. I like that color. I typically like darker greens, but I do like moot green. It's a good color. Oh, and don't mind my frizzy hair. This is a, I am Locke from More Nouns, and we are technically a Privateer Press podcast, and yes, I am using Citadel paints for reasons. Ease of access. I have like 3 local hobby stores, and they all sell Citadel paints, and that's what I got it started with, and that's what the color scheme of this army is based out of. So that's what I'm going to use, because that's what I have access to. So I'm going to go for a sort of a thicker or a flatter brush here, and I'm just going to sort of spread the paint out a little bit, because I really want to get it in the cracks and everything. Oh, and there's my head. Don't look at my head. Really want to spread it out, and I'm going to get it up on top of the stone, the gray stone on the top, but that's okay. I'll just paint over it later, and if it sees through, it's just a little extra glow. So it's not that big of a deal. I'm looking good. I'm looking good so far. Making sure the green is just really spread out and in and around and everything. Time to move on. So I'm going to use this brush to start mixing the green and the yellow together. And it takes a very little amount of green to turn a large amount of yellow just a lighter green. It's a weird ratio that you got to be really careful with. So I'm using this slightly lighter green as sort of a transition. I'm going to spread it out all over there, and then I'm going to try not to spread, like 3 stage transitions. That's just, a darker, a middle, and then a highlight. That's just what I'm a fan of when it comes to paints. I like 3, the rule of 3, I guess. So you can kind of see how in the middle there, it's already starting to lighten up a little bit compared to the edges, which are slightly more of that moot green color. Now, time to mix the yellow there with the lighter green shade I've already made, because like I said, it takes very little green to turn an entire batch of yellow light green. So I'm using the mix color already to mix more with the yellow, so that way it's still a little like a greened yellow, but it's not, cause I don't want to just go straight yellow. I sound like a crazy person. Yes, there we go. Ah, look at that. Lovely little glow there. That's beautiful. Ah, I'm so happy. I like the transition. I like how it's looking. Yes, yes. Don't know why it's off in the corner there. So like I said earlier, I don't care if it's messy. That is not the gray's final color. And I'm just trying to get it sort of everywhere so that when I do the dry brushing on the gray, it's sort of there in the background as a nice glow. Now, I don't know if you can tell this on the camera, but that is really wet. So we're gonna have to take a break and let that dry. Just gotta take care of my brush real quick. Okay, we're ready to move on. So the paint I'm shaking up right there is Dawnstone. And we're going to use that for sort of the middle color. I was testing that brush to see if it was the one I wanted to use. And still deciding to go with that one. So I'm not even going to really put that on my palette. I'm going to just sort of take it and put it over there. So just a little bit of dry brushing. Trying to load my paintbrush up real good, but not too much. Sometimes I get overzealous with dry brush and I completely lose the base color. Oh, it's coming together real good. I love it. It's looking so good. Let me see this. I'm painting this for a faction. There's some on my Twitter. Well, mostly my Instagram of the army I'm painting this for. It's an infernal army. And one of their main colors, their whole glow effect magic is green. So I'm doing this sort of this color for that. So here I'm taking the Dawnstone and I'm sort of painting the top edges of the stones because it's not covering up the green like I wanted to with just a little bit dry brushing. So I'm just full on putting the paint there. Because I'm going to use this lighter color over here. I'm going to use this Althon Gray to sort of do the lighter tones to it. And this paint is in bad shape. I need to probably just get another one. But it's what I have right now, so I'm going to work with it. I'm going to try to shake it to see if I can... some clumps in there. Shake it, see if I can break up some of the clumps. Or I should get it into one. There we go. I don't need a lot, so should be fine. So I didn't clean this red brush you see sitting in front of you because I don't mind if the colors mix for the dry brushing. So I'm just using that same brush that I was using with the Dawnstone before. But since it does have the medium gray on it, I'm not going to put it into the pot and mix the two colors. So that's why I took the lighter gray out of its pot and I put it into the palette. Because I didn't want to mix the colors with that brush. Oh, look at that. Oh, so good. It's very, very good. And that glow is just really shining through. Yes. So now I'm going to take some Mesh Gray and another brush, and I'm going to very, very, very lightly go over what I have already painted. Just to, because that's just a little too bright for me. So I'm just going to go over it just very gently and just give the whole thing just a slightly darkened tone. It's barely noticeable, but it is enough just to sort of, I don't know, make me happy. And that's what's important here. That's what's really important in painting, making yourself happy. Oh, I think it looks so good. There we go. Oh, it does. It looks super good. And it's ready for its model to be put on it, which I believe is going to be a cultist. Oh, I love it. It looks so delicious. Oh, I'm so happy. And thank you all for being here and coming and watching me paint, and I love having you here. And I hope to see you all again in my next video. Bye! Mwah!
Thank you for joining us on this episode of War Nouns YouTube. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out our podcast, War Nouns. And if you decide to like and subscribe, we'd really appreciate that. To find the music tracks used in this video, please check the description below. And until next time, enjoy.